Hi there. Let's take a look today at the mobile macro lenses made by both Moment and ShiftCam. First though, let's talk about macro photography. A macro photograph is one in which the size of the subject on the image sensor is life size or greater. On a typical 35mm full-frame camera, this would mean that your subject is 35mm or smaller. Things like insects are excellent subjects for macro photography because they fit nicely at a 1:1 ratio onto the image sensor. Of course, this doesn't mean that you can't take excellent macro photographs of a subject that is much larger than the sensor in your camera. But what it means is that you'll need to get very close to your subject and you'll only be able to take a photograph of a very small portion of it. This is where it's important to understand focal length. Focal length is the distance required by your lens between the sensor and the subject that you're photographing for a lens to be able to capture a sharp, in-focus image of the subject. Macro lenses are designed to reduce the distance required to get a sharp in-focus image to just millimeters. Typically, macro lenses for DSLR and mirrorless cameras require somewhere between 30 and 90 millimeters to get a sharp in-focus image, but Moment and ShiftCam both have mobile versions of their macro lenses that require only 25 millimeters for a sharp in-focus image. ShiftCam also makes a 75mm macro lens that they call their long-range macro lens, and we'll talk about this one later in this video. Now let's take a look at some side-by-side shots that I took with both the Moment 25mm and ShiftCam 25mm macro lenses on the iPhone 13 Pro. Keep in mind that because both of these lenses produce a very shallow depth of field, it's really difficult to take video with these, and they're really best suited for photographs. Now that doesn't mean that you can't take good videos with these. I took this video here that's posted on my other YouTube channel a year ago with the iPhone 12 Pro Max and got some pretty awesome shots. Check it out, I'll put the link in the description. But for now, what you're gonna see is the ShiftCam macro lens and Moment macro lens side by side, rather photos that I took with each of them side by side, marked with which lens produced which photo. I didn't really do much as far as editing for any of these photos. I cropped a little bit, brightened them up where they were dark, and maybe increased the saturation a little bit where it was dull. But you'll notice for the most part, the Moment lens produced sharper images than the ShiftCam lens did. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. If a more fuzzy, soft look is what you're going for, ShiftCam still produces really great quality images. Just depends on the project that you're working on and what your personal preference and style are. If you're trying to decide between Moment and ShiftCam for a 25mm macro lens, I hope those comparisons sway you one way or the other. Something to keep in mind though is that ShiftCam offers a bundle that includes both the 25 and 75mm macro lenses. Here's a couple of clips that I put together that show how crisp and clean the output of video using the 75mm macro lens is. And it does just as good with photos as it does with video and doesn't have quite as shallow a depth of field as a 25mm version, which makes it a lot easier to use for video. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Keep an eye out for more content, including additional reviews like this, putting ShiftCam and Moment lenses head-to-head in comparison videos to help you make the best decision possible when deciding which brand lenses you should use.